Alright, hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over Java, moving a little bit away from Python. So today we're going to, of course, as I said, be going over Java, some concepts about constructors and methods, and then we're going to use those concepts to create our own program and our own output. So before we actually move to a project and we actually create the Java program and using those concepts, I wanted to go over a really brief tutorial on when you use IntelliJ IDEA, how you're going to create your project. So keep in mind that I am using IntelliJ IDEA as our software here to run our program for Java and create our code. So the very first thing you want to do is when you reach this home page, hit new project. Don't worry about this, just click next, next, and then name your project. I'll just say my second Optin02 project. Already exists. So then let's hit Optin03, my third one then. Finish, and then you are taken here, so away from that home page, right? And then you have this src folder. When you have this src folder, I want you to right click this src folder, go to new, and then that's where you have this Java class here. Hit that Java class. You can name it whatever you want, of course. And keep in mind that when you're writing this Java class, you write it in terms of the proper rules, or you're following the rules of writing a Java class. So what I mean is, if I want to write out my name, for example, I don't write it in terms of spaces. So if I did this, it would actually be an error. It would not be correct. But this, if I just remove that space, that is right. So keep in mind that I am writing my class, and when you write your class out, you write it in terms of the proper Java syntaxing. And then, there you go. IntelliJ actually creates that class for you, and you are all set to write your code out and run your program. Alright guys, so with that being said, let's actually move on to writing our code and creating our program. I'll see you guys there. Alright, here we are in the actual project where we will be implementing our Java code. So the very first thing I want you guys to see, of course, is when I declared that class Optin_cache, as I named it in that kind of mini tutorial of creating a project, you see that it's declared as public. So that's the first thing I want you guys to understand and kind of see here, that the class that we have automatically is declared as public, because now, since I'm going to be creating constructors and then methods that correspond to, of course, those constructors and what are called instance variables. The instance variables are basically our foundation of what we're going to be defining as certain values in our main method. So this will make more sense, of course, when we go through the code and I patch everything up, but keep in mind that our class automatically is public, but our instance variables are going to be private. So here's what I mean. We want to declare, of course, if instance variables are private, the type of the instance variables. So I guess we can have one string, let's say string of Jackman, and that can be whatever you want. We don't declare what those values are yet. So just keep that in mind. We just want to declare the instance variables as private and then the type of that variable. So private, and then we can have another instance variable as, let's say, int of JimmyMan. Okay, there we go. So those are our instance variables declared as private, and we included the type. And the type that I mean is integer and then string. So those are the types of the variables, and the name, of course, is whatever you want. I just named it Jackman and JimmyMan for just randomness, but really just understand instance variables are declared as private, and then the type we include, as well as, of course, the variable name. And we did that, so we can get rid of that. Now, this longer comment says that the next step, of course, we also did that, but we said we declare our instance variables using the private keyword, and also we define the type. So we did that, which is great. Now that we have our instance variables declared, we want to include what is called a default constructor. You see here, default constructor. And the purpose of doing so is that we can lay a foundation of what we're passing in as values in our main method, and then eventually defining it, of course, as I said, in the main method. So in a nutshell, basically what we're going to do with this default constructor is that it's a foundation that we're going to use Jackman and JimmyMan as parameters in our main method. And the main method, in case you're not following along, the main method is basically like the method where we actually declare our variables or declare our string values, any values that we have, and then we print that out. So again, keep in mind that the default constructor, we will pass these in as parameters, and then it lays that foundation of that. In the end, in the main method, we're going to declare or assign values to Jackman and Jimmyman, such as we don't know, of course, in this instance variable what integer Jimmyman is. It could be 5, 6, 7. We're going to define that in the main method, and then string Jackman could be whatever string value it is. We don't know that, of course, right now. So we're going to declare that in the main method, but from now the public default constructor will lay that foundation. So the way we write the default constructor is just public opting hash, and then we will put in those instance variables as parameters. So string Jackman, int Jimmyman, and then braces because it's a constructor. And then we will actually use this dot Jackman equals Jackman, and then this dot Jimmyman equals Jimmyman. Okay, and I spelled Jackman incorrectly. There we go. Okay, so we have those declared. As I said, we put those instance variables as parameters in that default constructor, and then you can see that I use this dot. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I use this dot? The reason why we use this dot is, first of all, it's known as an implicit parameter. The reason why we're using this dot is it acts as an implicit parameter for the instance variable. The big reason why I'm using this dot is because I want to set that instance variable to something, right? And I could have named it something else. For example, I could have named it string of this Jackman and the int of this Jimmyman, and then if I did that, I could just put the instance variable Jackman is equal to this this Jackman. I use this for both, so and then Jimmyman is equal to this Jimmyman. So that works. That would work as well, but just for the clearness of our code and to make it more concise, I don't want to use, of course, different variable names. If you want to use the exact same name of the instance variable, all you need to do is just make sure that you use this dot. This dot Jackman equals Jackman, the variable name that we use as our instance variable. And then this dot Jimmyman, Jimmyman equals Jimmyman. Okay. Integer Jimmyman. So again, the reason why, of course, and then I want to remove this. Okay. The main purpose of doing so is that it makes our code much more clearer, much more cleaner, and more readable in a sense, and makes it more concise instead of using, for example, a totally different variable name in our parameter here or as an argument in this constructor, making it again much more easier for us. So keep in mind that this .Jackman is a very convenient method of using an implicit parameter to declare for our instance variable. So we did that, and I will delete that. Awesome. Let's bring this up. Now, the next thing we can do here is we can essentially declare or set methods, declare set methods. So these are known as mutator methods. The reason why we're going to declare these set methods is because, of course, we want to set a value, right? We want to set a value to string Jackman and integer Jimmyman because eventually we want to know what those are, but they could be anything. So the set method allows us to declare any value or assign any value to those instance variables in our main method. So we would have to write out public void, and the reason why I'm saying void is because I don't really want those set methods to be returned, because we'll use getter methods. So those sub methods essentially are just kind of a structure for us to work with. So public void set, let's say Jackman, and then of course it's going to be a string of Jackman, and then we will use that same thing, this dot, so this dot Jackman equals Jackman. And then also we'll just use the same set method or same, again, concept for Jimmyman. So we'll do public, can't spell today, public void Jimmyman, set Jimmyman, And then of course we want to pass in, of course, that integer of jimmyman, right, as our parameter, braces, because it's a method. And then use that this dot jimmyman, make our code much more convenient, equals jimmyman. Perfect. So we have those set methods in place, and it kind of makes sense too. If you see set, of course it's a you're going to set a value to that method there. It's going to act as a foundation for us to, of course, assign whatever values we want to those instance variables and return them out in our main method. So we did that. Next thing we need to do is to get methods. So the next thing we need to do, of course, is in addition to the set methods that we put out, set jimmyman and set jackman, we need to use get methods. These get methods really allow us to get those values that we set to both jimmyman and jackman. So for example, we had integer jimmyman was 6, string of jackman was jackman is cool. Those get methods lays a foundation or structure for us to return those assigned values. So the way we would write this is public, and then keep in mind we don't put void because we want to return those get methods, right? So public is string jackman, get jackman, of course, is a getter method, so need to put that in. We don't pass anything here because I already declared the type of it. And then return, we use our return statement here, return jackman. Cool. Same thing for jimmyman, so we do public int jimmyman, and then we say return jimmyman. Perfect. So we have our getter methods in place. That is awesome. Get jimmyman. There we go. Now it's perfect. Okay, so we put those set methods, we got our get methods, everything is going very well. Next thing we need to do, let me bring this up here. Now, the next thing, and really before we actually use our main method, we like to put a toString method to formulate and lay out our output in however way we want. Think of the toString method as a way for us to print out a program in a specific way. So here's how it works. Let's say public is string, because a toString, of course, is a string. And then we say return. We can say return this guy is so cool and his name is, and then we can add the variable that we'll declare or assign a value to, which was the string of jackman. So we just put jackman plus, and his age is, we'll use that variable jimmyman because that's our only integer variable there, and we can just leave it as that. So the toString method is just, it's how we organize our output. Think of it as that. The toString method will allow us to organize our output and put our variables behind, for example, a statement before we declare it, or after something, or after a string that we want to add. So think of it as the toString method, an organization method for us to write our output out when we declare or run our program. So we did that. Awesome. The last step is just now we just have to write our main method and then print out this program. And the way we do that is public static void main string args braces. And then since we are of course using this new opt-in hash class, we have to declare it, or actually make a new class for it. So opt-in hash, and then we can call this whatever you want. We can say JessMan is equal to new opt-in hash. And then now this is where we actually write in the values we want, or assign the values to jackman and jimmyman. So since jackman was a string and I put it in that particular order, we put, let's say, we'll just say actually jackman just for simplicity, and then let's say 5. And then it's really cool that IntelliJ actually runs this, or actually fills this in for you, because it says that jackman is the first variable that we're declaring or assigning value to, and we assigned it this string. And then Jimmy Man, it recognizes that since that was an integer, we assigned 5 to it. So it actually really making sense to the program itself, or IntelliJ recognizes that for you. So that is really good. And yeah, and then after that, we just say system.out.print JessMan. Of course, you need a colon there. Awesome. So we have that all there. All we need to do is hit this hammer button. That's going to build our project. Okay. And then the next thing, of course, is to run it. Awesome. There we go. This guy is so cool, and his name is Jackman, and his age is 5. You see here that and Jackman are a little bit connected. So if we go back here, I can just add Jackman plus. There we go. Include that space there, and now we should have everything in a well-organized sentence structure. There you go, there you go. So this guy is so cool, and his name is Jackman, and his age is 5. So with all this, with the default constructor, declaring our, first declaring our private instance variables, creating a default constructor to lay the foundation for our parameters, for our instance variables that we're going to declare. Then creating this set method for each instance variable, then using our getter methods to return those values that we want or that we assign to those instance variables, declaring or creating our toString method to organize our output, and then finally just writing our common main method in Java to print out, create this new class first of all, and then print it out, gets us this whole output here. This whole program consisted of all of this code to create this output. It is pretty neat. Creating constructors and set methods, getter methods, these all come together to form really a neat output in my opinion. So hopefully this was a comprehensive lecture in how to work with Java in terms of creating constructors, different methods, set methods, getter methods, creating a toString, then printing that out, all formulates this output here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me as always. And this was my first Java video, so hopefully it was a good introduction into Java, a good, nice lesson for our beginning and journey to Java. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And as always, I will see you guys in a future video. Thank you so much.